Everyone at school knew the filthy otaku. Nobody really knew his name, but everyone called him that because of his grimy appearance. Greasy hair, dirty clothes, and a pungent smell that preceded him down the hallways. His skin always looked sticky, with an oily sheen under the light. Girls avoided getting close to him because his presence made them feel disgusted. More than once, they saw him picking his nose and wiping it on his clothes. He always carried a backpack full of dirty anime figures and wrinkled comics, and he always sat alone at the back of the classroom. At first, we just ignored him. But then the rumors started. They said he stayed at school overnight, hiding in some corner of the building, watching hentai on an old, greasy and dirty laptop with broken headphones. His disgusting whispers seemed to mix with moans. Some claimed they heard him speaking to himself in Japanese, using a shrill and distorted voice while wandering through the empty hallways after class. Others said he left traces of rotten food and opened ramen bags in the darkest corners of the building. One day, after the final bell, I stayed at school to finish a project. The place was almost empty when I heard a noise coming from the art room. Curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to take a look. When I peeked inside, I saw him, the filthy otaku, standing in front of a figure drawn on the chalkboard. It looked like an anime girl with huge eyes and long hair. He was murmuring softly, almost as if he were courting her. His trembling hand caressed the drawing, leaving greasy streaks on the chalkboard. I shuddered as I noticed the figure seemed to change. Her eyes seemed to follow me, and when I blinked, the girl's mouth was slightly open, as if she were smiling. The otaku began to laugh softly, a broken and desperate giggle, and at that moment, I decided to leave before he noticed me. The following days, I noticed something disturbing. Every time I passed by the art room, the figure was there, but in a different position. Sometimes she looked sad. Other times, it seemed like she was crying. No one else seemed to notice, and when I tried to mention it to my friends, they just laughed and said the otaku was probably obsessed. One afternoon, while heading to the exit, I heard a high-pitched scream coming from the room. I rushed back and opened the door. The otaku was kneeling in front of the chalkboard, covered in dark stains. As I looked closer, I realized it wasn't ink, it was blood. The figure now had completely black eyes, and her mouth appeared wide open in a silent scream. I tried to ask him what he was doing, but he just muttered between sobs, his voice cracked and his eyes wide with madness. She's angry. She's angry because I'm not worthy." Before I could react, he leapt up and started scratching the chalkboard with his dirty, broken nails, leaving deep marks as he screamed, "I promised I would be hers." His fingers broke to the point of bleeding, splintering against the surface, but he kept scratching frantically as if pain didn't exist. His guttural, sick laughter mixed with uncontrollable crying as he repeated over and over, "I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy." The floor began to stain with droplets of blood falling from his destroyed hands, but he kept hitting the board, now with his bloody knuckles. I called the janitor, shaking with fear. And when we came back, the room was empty. The chalkboard was spotless, without any trace of blood or the otaku. The janitor looked at me with disapproval, telling me not to waste time with sick jokes. I felt humiliated, but also deeply disturbed. I walked home feeling like someone was watching me from the school windows. The next day, the school was in turmoil. The filthy otaku hadn't come home. No one knew where he was. Some classmates said they saw him wandering around the school at night, like a shadow crawling through the hallways. Others claimed to have heard him crying in the second-floor bathroom, but when they checked, the place was empty and smelled of mold. That night, while studying in my room, my phone vibrated with a message from an unknown number. I opened it cautiously and almost dropped the device. It was a photo of the art room, taken from a low angle, as if someone was kneeling. The figure on the chalkboard was smiling, but this time, next to her, there was a grotesque drawing of the otaku, with a deformed face, eyes gouged out, and bleeding fingers. The drawing seemed alive, as if the smile grew wider the longer I looked. The attached message read, "Now we are one." I tried to block the number, but before I could, another message arrived. An audio recording with a shrill, distorted laugh, accompanied by dull thuds, as if someone was hitting the chalkboard with bare hands. I closed the messaging app and threw the phone on the bed, but the device kept vibrating, as if someone was trying to call. Eventually, the sound stopped, but I felt an overwhelming cold crawling down my spine. I haven't returned to school since then. They say that sometimes, at dusk, you can hear laughter and sobbing in the art room. Some students claim that if you pass by the door, you can see a drawn figure that seems to change expression. And if you stay too long, you can hear a voice whispering, "I promised I would be hers."